And we in here. We're in the building. I didn't even catch your name at the door. My bad. What was it?
Isaiah.
Isaiah. My bad. I'm bad with names. Hey, my homie Lionel.
What's going on, people?
Known you for a long time, bro.
Long time. DC.
Long DC times.
Dirty
Bowling
Cousins,
alley.
yeah.
Yo, Dirty Cousins. Remember
Yeah.
that? So, I'm glad you're here, right?
Glad to be here.
Figured we could talk about anything, really. But mainly Second Amendment, right? Before I get started, let's give a little background. Let them know, just in case they don't know who you are. If you want, be like any organization that you run with, anything. Just a little quick before we go in. We're going to go deeper. But just so they know where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
You know?
So, my name is Lionel Jerome. I'm... All right, where do I start? For trade, right? I'm a conductor for New Jersey Transit. I also serve on the Perth Amboy Redevelopment Agency as a commissioner. Right now, and the primary reason why we're here is because I'm a founder, as well as my brother Isaiah is a co-founder of an organization called New Jersey Sharpshooters. We're a pro-Second Amendment organization. And you know what, Isaiah, do you have the mission statement? I think we could just read the mission statement.
That'll probably be more precise.
Yeah, because this way everybody can get a clear indication of what. All right, you want to just read it off?
Yeah, I'll just spit it out right now. And the name of this organization shall be the New Jersey Sharpshooters, whose purpose is stated as follows. Number 1, encourage members in the communities we reside in to exercise their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms and to do so in a safe, responsible, and lawful manner. Number 2, promote firearm ownership in our communities by assisting members in obtaining their New Jersey firearms identification card, handgun permits, etc. Number 3, provide membership with literature and news pertaining to legal gun ownership in New Jersey. Number 4, educate the membership through organizational activities and events, how to safely handle and operate a number of different firearms in a variety of settings. Number 5, and this is the last one, is to bring members together in a positive, social, and friendly environment so that they, their families, and friends feel welcome at all times while participating in club activities.
I like that. And that's NJ Sharpshooters. And they can find that on what? Facebook, Instagram, all that, right?
Yeah, we have all the typical social media handles.
Word. Is it New Jersey Sharpshooters or NJ?
NJ Sharpshooters.
NJ
Yeah,
Sharpshooters.
it's important to identify that.
Yeah.
So when we started this organization, it was basically a roundtable conversation. We're just hanging out. We're like, listen.
It's just a bunch of friends and family.
Yeah, no, just a bunch of friends. Bunch of us. And, I got interested in becoming a gun owner, and the experience was surreal, bro. There were like no resources for me, you know? And when I say for me, I don't mean like for me. I'm just saying like, on my journey, there was nothing that I could easily identify as like the go-to place. I went to my gun shop, right? The local gun shop. And the way I was treated, I was like, hey, listen, I'm interested in purchasing a firearm. And I said it just like that, too, like a firearm,
Yeah, because you want to go in there. You don't want to sound crazy.
Yeah, hey, look, man, I want to get a gun.
That sounds crazy to me. If you came in my store and you said that, I'm like, oof.
Yeah. So it's a red flag, right?
Yeah.
So, I presented myself the same way I present myself anywhere, right?
Yes.
And they kind of brushed me off. They were like, do you have your FID? I'm like, I'm sorry, what's an FID? And they're like, listen, man, you gotta file an application with the state police or your town. And I was just like, oh.
You're like, and where?
Yeah, where do I do that? And they're like, I'm so sorry, man. I gotta get the next customer.
Of course.
So I'm like, all right, whatever. So thankfully, Isaiah had already gone through the process, so I reached out to him, and we're part of the same fraternity. We're both Freemasons.
Okay.
We hail from the same lodge, so we're in constant communication. We used to go to the range a lot. So I asked him, I said, yo, what was the process like? The thing is that it ranges from municipality to municipality. There's a standard application, but the process can be very different depending on where you reside. So I went to Woodbridge Police Department, and the clerk there, she was very nice. She was very, very nice. I had a very good experience over there, and I filled out the application online. So once you get to the end of the application, there's a universal fingerprint form.
Correct.
Right? And on the universal fingerprint form, there's a website for you to schedule your appointment.
Yes.
the website that's on that form is outdated and is no longer in service.
How long have you had your firearms ID card?
A year. This year,
year.
yeah, I got my ID. I got my firearms ID card this year. Now,
Because it changed.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
No, it wasn't like that. You had to go
I got
in
a
person.
paper.
Yeah, you had to
and
go.
went and got my fingerprints done in Raritan Center.
Yeah.
And then I had a PDF file and type up because you couldn't write it. It had to be PDF.
Right.
So now you got to go on a computer and tab and shit and like type it in and then print it and then email that and then mail it out. And then your references actually got physical letters.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah, I imagine it was a much more complicated situation, but even still, to the average user, to the average end user, even now it's like there are some deterrents that are set in place. So we said, listen, we have to be able to, number one, normalize this in our culture, because the moment I started talking about it, everybody was like, "What do you need a gun for?" And I'm like, "Why is that
the thing?
question?" You know what I mean? Like when I go to the range,
It's a valid question,
Yeah.
I feel.
okay, you know what? I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm open to that conversation as well. But like the first thing people say, like, why do you need a gun? And there's so many uses for a firearm. Like you can compete, right? It's actual sport, right? You can do it for recreation, skeet shooting, right?
Yep.
And we do that every Wednesday. So you can go to the range, right? It's a great place to go and just let off some steam.
Yep. In a safe manner, controlled environment with range officers and safety protocol and
The
it's
whole
good.
the whole nine.
Yeah.
So and there are range safety rules, etc. So we said we have to develop some sort of platform where people can go and just get this information, right? And so we started organizing, and it like lit up. Like immediately, we had like 40 members. Like within 2 weeks. Like
Oh, yeah, that deep?
oh, right now we're sitting at 67 members, and this is something that we
And
just
they're all New Jersey residents?
all New Jersey residents.
Wow.
So there was one guy that was like referred to the chat that we started, because it originally started with a chat, and he was based out of Florida, but he was a former New Jersey resident. So he had a lot of input, and he's had a firearm for a long time. So he was able to give information on the differences between like striker fired, hammer fired,
Correct.
subcompact, compact, full size and stuff. He gave his opinion. It was valuable information, but he eventually kind of signed off the chat because he said, it is a New Jersey-based organization, and you guys should talk about New Jersey-based laws and ordinances.
Yeah, because he's going to come from a different angle from it
and some of the things he says may not be as accurate
to us.
to us. you
Where
know?
where you're well, not me because it's your
Right.
organization, but to us as a community in
Right.
New Jersey, it wouldn't transfer over.
So once that happened, like I said, it kind of like blew up overnight, and everybody was like, "Oh, how do I get my firearms ID? How do I get my firearms ID?" And then once we got them their IDs, once they got their IDs, they're like, "All right, now I'm ready to make a purchase, but what should I buy? Like, what gun should I get?"
Oh, good luck.
Right?
It's
And I'm like, wow. So I'm like, all right, we have to develop like a criteria here,
Yeah.
like a system where we're filtering out some of these options. We can get rid of like, you're a first time gun user. All right, well, let's talk about caliber. Like, where do you want to
Understand
sit
that.
at? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can go from 22 to 380 to 9 to 40, 45, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
accessibility to the
Right.
ammo. What is more logical?
Right? What's more affordable? Like,
Yep. Where are you gonna find it if something happens where there's a shortage on ammo?
Right.
You're running 380 or 45. You're not gonna find 45s as easy as you're gonna find 22 and 9mm
or as affordable, right?
or as affordable.
So and that was one of the biggest factors, right? Variables in our suggestion process was, what is the intended purpose of this firearm? Because it wasn't always home safety, it wasn't always like home defense. Sometimes it was like, I actually like to shoot. Like I've gone to the range a couple times, and I'm tired of paying these ridiculous
It's crazy
prices
expensive, bro.
to go to the shooting range. I think
You're
like,
looking at like $80, $90 out the door
every
Easy.
time.
Easy.
Yeah. So the hour you have to pay for usually from $20 to $30. Then the firearm itself is $20 to $30. Then the ammo Right now,
100%. It's like a double markup compared to the
right
store.
now, I'll tell you like this. Right now, at the range, if you were to purchase 9mm ammo, it's $35 for a box of 50 bullets, 50 rounds, right? And that might not sound bad to
the average person.
Yeah. But when you're in the 2A community and you're used to getting 50 rounds for $12,
Yup. You're like $35.
$35. What is going on
Like,
here?
that's 100 rounds I just lost.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
So, these are all.
Oh, I feel like I
important-
get got.
Yeah. All day.
Yeah.
All day. So these are important questions, but more so is the fact that a lot of people are becoming more in tune with what's going on in our society, and they're seeing like all this civil unrest happen in states that are very close to us. So they're like, listen, just a couple weeks ago, I remember I was getting ready to fight over toilet paper.
I know.
So there's a second wave coming, and everybody, like we were talking about this earlier, a lot of the people that were anti-firearms prior to Corona are now like, yo, can I borrow a gun?
I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
No, I'm like, I can't let you
You could
borrow.
come to my house, and even then, I don't know if
Yeah.
I trust you, because you were so anti-gun before that I don't know if I trust you around one in an emergency situation, because you were coming at it from a place of like, why do you need it, or maybe fear-based.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna add, when you were living a comfortable life, you had a fear of firearms. Now you get put in a situation where you're actually fearful for life, and now you have this firearm that you was already fearful of. You're adding fear on fear.
Yeah.
I don't want you around me.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Especially because there's no training there.
There's no training.
You're not
I
trained.
think I'm gonna give you if it hits the fan, you're gonna come to my house. I'm like, here, hold that. If you see somebody, no, get at it. We'll make.
This is not like that Tom Cruise scene where he's like, look, this is the gun, point and shoot.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work.
It
So there's a
doesn't
lot
work
of
like that.
misconceptions, right? Especially with like shotguns, right? They're like, oh, just get a shotgun because you can just aim it and anything in front of it is going to get. I'm like, the spread doesn't really work that way. You know, even if you're getting birdshot, which is the biggest spread you're going to get, you're not even going to kill the guy.
You're not.
You're going to pepper him. You know what I mean?
And depending on how far, depending on what he's wearing, depending
Yeah.
if he's on any substances, he might eat all those pellets and be like, ah.
All right. I think Dave Chappelle covered that in his skit where he talked about it.
Well, he had the guy on the lawn and he said, yeah, I know.
He was like, birdshot, buckshot.
birdshot, buckshot,
Slugs.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And he had a good point though.
Yeah.
He had a good point on firearms.
Absolutely, and that's another thing that we have to cover is like, so somebody listening right now might be like, oh, what the hell is a birdshot? What's a buckshot? What's a slug?
Yeah.
So we can go over that in a little bit as we start to demonstrate some of the different firearms. But so these are some of the primary concerns that we were seeing all over the place, and I'm gonna tell you that in the Black and Hispanic communities, it's kind of taboo to talk about it, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's taboo to talk about firearms, but it's like the moment you start talking about guns, especially older Hispanic moms, they're like, "Ay, mijo,
Oh.
mijo, ¿pa qué tú quieres una pistola, mijo? Llama a la policía." I'm like, "Mom, they're talking about defunding them." Like,
Yeah.
They're not coming.
they're not coming. You are your own cavalry.
Well, what I think where a lot of that comes from is, like guns are associated with crime.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then when you live like in an urban environment where there's a high crime rate, people are like, oh, you have a gun, that's not good. They make guns equal bad.
Yeah.
That's the
Correct.
equation.
Yeah, they draw that stigma.
And it's dangerous, or you may become a criminal. Like why are you getting that? Are you getting involved in something? There's all these things that run through a lot of, especially like the older generation when things were worse, like in the 80s and stuff like that, when crime was much worse. I'm from Patterson,
Okay.
and I've talked to politicians about guns over there, and it's kind of like this.
Oh no.
Like we don't want to talk about that. Guns are bad.
Yeah.
You don't really think about the element, who's holding the gun and who's using it for what. If you're a person that's just trying to protect yourself, you're gonna see that a lot of these laws that are being put in place are actually hurting you, as a
As a
law-abiding citizen.
responsible. Yep.
They're only
Yeah,
they only hurt the law-abiding citizen because the criminal is not worrying about any of the laws.
They
in the
don't
first
obey the
place.
laws in the
Yeah,
first place.
They don't obey the
So
laws. in
what
the first
laws
place.
that we're making, they're not making it easier, harder for them to get it.
No, I mean it's not like murder isn't illegal already. You don't know. So, and these are things that we had to talk about because as we kept walking on this journey, we ran into some of these obstacles, right? Like, all right, so I have my firearm. All right, so meet me at the range. I'm going to show you how to grip a gun. I'm going to show you how to, how to breathe, how to take your stance, how to set your sight radius or
No teacupping.
create your sight
All
picture.
that.
Oh, we'll talk about teacupping because another hat that I wear is I'm a range safety officer at one of the ranges. I'm not going to name the ranges. There's not selfless, plug.
Yeah, word.
Yeah, so I'm not doing that. But
They can holler at me, they want to be a sponsor.
100%. If you are associated with a range, please contact NJ Sharpshooters on any of our social media channels if you're looking to sponsor in any way, shape, or form. So I see some of the guys there, some of the range safety officers, and they teach that method. The
They
teacup.
teach teacup?
They teach a teacup. So when I immediately, right, I'm having this conversation. I'm like, why are you teaching that?
For those that don't know, teacupping is when you grab the bottom. Like imagine a cup, a teacup on a plate.
Yeah, on the saucer. Yeah,
Yeah, on the
you,
saucer.
You put the teacup on the saucer, right? And they say just point, just
I don't
shoot,
no, I
right?
don't like that.
I don't like that at all. It presents different opportunities for the firearm to move, and so there's so many things that can happen.
That could be an hour conversation
Yeah.
on just teacupping.
Yeah, just on its own. So I asked them like, well, why are you doing this? And the main idea is, or at least the main the general consensus is that we're here to make sure that they're firing in a safe fashion. We're not here to turn anybody into a pro shooter. If that is their goal, then there are classes for that. We actually offer courses, tactical courses, competition courses, and if they want to go down that road, they'll go ahead and pursue that through our system. And I'm like, yeah, but people are trusting you. They're coming here because they're identifying this as the location where they can come and find this information.
Correct.
Right? You are the source.
Yes.
So I think it's a little misleading, and I've stated my opinion, but I can tell you that everybody that I talk to, I don't teach that method. I teach a thumb forward grip, dominant thumb over support hand thumb. The same grip that Mike Glover has, that John Levette has, all these guys that are deep in the game, especially in the firearms community, in the 2A community, but former Rangers.
Yes, correct.
All special forces.
Because back to that, not to cut you off, because just to address, because that goes back into the misinformation of firearms. If somebody's going to a gun range, right, you can't, I understand it's a business like anything. It's in and out, in and out, in and out. But we're not out here teaching people how to do oil changes. This is a firearm. And if you want to be respected as a firearm owner, or people to respect the concept of owning a firearm as an establishment that is having these things readily available for civilians, if you teach somebody that method, it becomes muscle memory.
Absolutely.
And now you're going to have to relearn. It's better to not know anything and learn the right way than and it's harder if you learn the wrong way and correct that to the right way. So how do you just do it right?
It goes back to the method that it's easier to raise a man than to fix a man.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So whenever I engage somebody at the range, in my head, I'm automatically assuming that they came here because they want to further their skill set in being able to protect their family.
And you know what's crazy? You think like that's cool. Yeah. Homie could just be on a date night.
Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, it is.
But he learned the right way.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, the people that I see are on a date night. Like, it's really cool. Like, I'm starting to see demographics that don't typically end up at the range, and they're coming in numbers and groups, and it's like a recreational activity, and I love that. I encourage that. I promote it all day, every day. But it doesn't take away from the fact that, like you said, even though we're doing this for fun, this is a firearm.
It is.
It is the ultimate authority. And if it's not
Correct.
used in the most responsible fashion, it could have some really ugly
Yeah,
consequences.
there's no do-overs. There's no
There's no
resets.
do-overs,
There's no
huh?
respawns. Just not go walk over there, count 10 seconds, and come back.
It's not Call of Duty.
This is
not
not Call of
airsoft.
Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we're going to talk about negotiating a firearm or engaging any kind of threat with a firearm, we have to consider all the variables right from the jump. Especially with a state like New Jersey, where there's like the no castle doctrine, where you might defend your home. You know, somebody might break into your house, and you might think you're doing the right thing, and you go ahead and engage them with a firearm. Your family's safe, but now you have to go to court for homicide.
Correct.
You know,
Or at best manslaughter.
yeah. So it's like, all right, what is the criteria then? You know what I mean?
And that ain't even available.
No. So basically, from the conversations that I've had,
a lawyer. I gotta
Yeah.
go. I'm gonna take the bar exam
it's
next
crazy.
week. At this
It's crazy.
point.
So from the conversation that we've had as an organization with like different police departments, the typical results that we get is that there's basically a 3-part criteria, right? Number one is, was there the possibility of an escape, right? Could you, if they came in through the front door, could you leave out the back door?
Correct.
There's nothing in your house that can't be replaced or that has greater value than life itself.
Correct.
Right? And that's all we're here to promote, preservation of life.
Of course.
Number two, what information did you possess on the individual or the situation when you engaged into it, right? So there was a case where an individual shot a guy who broke into his house, and his defense attorney was making the claim that, hey, listen, this guy was a former Navy SEAL. He could have really hurt my client. He was trained to, there's no way that if he would have engaged my client would have been equipped to defend himself.
There's no way.
Former special forces, like, it's not happening. And the prosecution said, yeah, but did he know that at the time that he pulled the trigger? And he didn't. And so it didn't count.
That's hey.
Right?
That's valid.
Yeah, it
If
doesn't count.
He didn't know.
He didn't know. So we can't.
You
can't
could be at a bar and you pick a fight with somebody, or at the mall. Little do you know, this guy's a UFC or an MMA practitioner. Then you're like, oh no,
Yep.
Yeah.
I should have let him step on my
Yeah.
Jordans.
Yep. The decision you
You
made
don't know.
at
You
the
don't
time
know.
with the information you had at the time is relevant, right? And
Correct.
then the third part of that criteria is, at what point did you become the aggressor? So so he engages you, or she engages you, or whomever,
Yeah,
they engage you, right? Because it could be multiple people as well.
yeah.
They engage you. You go ahead and discharge your firearm. Boom. They begin to run away. But now you're all fired up. You're like,
Yeah.
nah, this is not happening. Boom, 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 boom.
That's
The trajectory shows that the bullets were fired from behind him. Now you're going to jail.
that's not good.
It's not good.
That's
So
not good.
so it's important to know where you stand, and it's important to be able to make these calculations on the fly. Right?
Which is not easy.
It's not easy, but there are simulations that you can run. There are plans that you can put in place. Like, I tell people all the time, and this is something that we've kind of we have an agreement where it's like, when anybody comes to us, because we have multiple administrators that kind of run our social media. We have like different committees, and on social
I
media.
like that you run it so like,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, on board.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's
I like that. I
there's
like that.
you have to be careful, because the same way, you know, anybody, any business or any individual, you give out information, and we're a registered nonprofit organization. So we give out the wrong information, we're liable to get sued if something happens. You know what I mean? If somebody takes any kind of course of action and it's an illegal course of action, they can come back and say, oh, well, this
They
is
only
the-"
learned that because of you.
Exactly.
And you influenced it. It's a sketchy world.
And so we don't do that. We don't give out any legal advice. And
Yup.
before we have the conversation about firearms, if we feel like the conversation is geared to defending your home, then we talk about the other variables of home defense. Well,
Correct.
how vulnerable is your house in the first place? Where are your locks?
Where you're locked, you have a camera system, you have
Yeah.
an alarm system, you have a dog.
So you have like early detention, right?
Get
you
a
have
bat.
deterrents, right? Early warning systems, like something like a dog, for instance. Like a dog is a deterrent. Somebody who's trying to break in the house hears that bark, and they're like, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna go in there.
That guy woke up.
And it's also early warning system for you. You hear your dog start barking, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Quick to your phone.
So a lot of people they don't consider something as simple as like the second floor window. Second floor windows are is like stealing candy from a baby for experienced thieves, because they know that nobody's putting wood dowels on them. Though that's going to be open.
My house is Fort Knox. Like I told you before, we went outside. I was like, "Let me close the door."
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't a disrespectful thing to
Yeah.
you. I was just like, because it happened one time. And luckily, I got in because I slipped. I slipped and left the kitchen window unlocked. Now this is Fort Knox.
Yeah. So
And
it
the second
happens.
floor is locked.
happens.
You're like, how you getting up there?
You have these experiences. Like we have, one of our members was just stating the other day where he was making his way to the range, and he made a stop. Like he was like, "Oh, I just got something to eat," and I'm like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Yo, no. That's not what we do. That trip has to be uninterrupted.
Yes.
Uninterrupted.
Home, range, home.
That's it.
Go get the food, come back, grab your firearms, and then
go to the range." You know, there are some exceptions now in New Jersey. Like if you need to use the bathroom, or if you have to get gas, obviously, you know, you're not gonna end up on the side of the road because you ran out of gas. But the exceptions are very minimal, and there are people in the state of New Jersey who have gone to jail for 7 years, who have been law-abiding citizens and have been turned into second-degree felons overnight. Ended up doing 7 years in jail
because they decided to go to Benihana's with their firearms in the trunk.
And it's like, you know, we have to be cognizant of the fact that this is a firearm. There are consequences if this falls in the hands of somebody who is irresponsible. And so if you're going to be that gateway, then you need to be accountable.
Yes.
You need to be accountable.
And that's how I feel, because it gets to the point, right, where everybody's like, not everybody, some people would be like, I feel like I have the Second Amendment right and I should be able to own a firearm. You're right. But you're going to stop and go to McDonald's, or you're going to park your car so you could go in Red Robin's and grab a burger to take out and leave it. Come on. That is the problem. Because it's already hard enough.
Yep.
And those actions make it easier to be like, see, that's why we don't want.
Forget about
like,
it.
you can't. And to me, it's it's not a little. Whatever level, it's irresponsible.
Yeah, 100%.
It's irresponsible.
And there should be accountability, right? But and just for the sake of all of us here, because we had this conversation prior to hitting that record button, for any of the viewers who are watching now, all the firearms that are on the table have been cleared.
Every single thing.
There's no live ammunition
At all.
We didn't even bring it with us. We didn't even bring live ammunition with us. So we can have a conversation about it, but there's nothing here.
Nothing
for us to
here.
Show as
We're
an example.
100% safe.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're all pointed away from the people at the table as well.
Correct. Everything in here is safe, just in case you've been watching. You're like, are there firearms on the table? Everything is safe.
Absolutely. So, it's important for us to have these conversations with the most vulnerable people in our community. And if you look at the statistics, gun ownership is growing in these portions of our community that were, before Corona, not interested in firearms. So,
And I'm a little nervous of that because where's the training behind it?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh my God, who's holding these things?
yeah. So I encourage people. I encourage everybody. We need to have these open conversations. We need to create this dialogue and push this dialogue and say, like, all right, well, if you're carrying, well, first of all, there is no carrying in New Jersey. When I say carrying, I mean, something that you possess. Right?
Correct.
If you are in possession, whether it's in your home, in your place of business, or other lawful location like a range or any, if you're going to purchase a firearm, let's train with that firearm. Let me show you how it works. Let me show you the grip. Let me show you all the different techniques that you can utilize to negotiate the firearm. And then let's talk about everything outside of that, right? Like the same way, and I know that you ride bikes, but the same way you wouldn't get on a motorcycle if you weren't in the right state of mind, right?
No way.
Absolutely not.
There's no way. You think I'm getting on a dirt bike and having a little sip or like angry?
Yeah, especially if you're angry, right? Like, I rode crotch rockets forever. And one thing that was like well known in the community of bikers is like, if there's any feeling of unrest,
don't do it.
Don't get on your bike.
Don't
get on your bike. Don't do it. It was just a thing. It's like this, almost like this, this.
It's just like a code. It's like a thing.
Exactly.
It's a rule.
An unwritten rule.
An unwritten rule of if you're not right,
don't get on the
Don't
bike.
get on it.
Don't get on the bike and ride your ride, right? And so it's the same thing with the firearms. It's like, you know, we have a H&K VP9 here. It's great for me. You know, my hand size fits it perfectly. It's a full-size firearm. The Beretta's a full-size firearm. But for my fiance, it's too big.
Correct.
Her hand is too big. So it's one of the best firearms you could own. But for her, it's not one of the best firearms she can own.
Not for her.
She can't negotiate it. It's too big for her hand size. So it presents different problems. So, you know, we have those conversations. We talk about caliber size, whether, you know, well, especially if you're talking home defense starts at 380. I know that there's an argument over the 22 caliber and its lethality, but generally we don't promote the 22 caliber as a home defense round, right? Even though anything that penetrates the flesh is going to deter the individual.
And the skill behind the person wielding it.
Yeah, so shot placement is vital.
Ooh.
But in a situation where there's stress and duress, those factors kind of disappear. Those skill sets kind of disappear. And it's the same thing as boxing or any other training. You know, you may look good on a bag, but
Until you get
stress,
punched in the mouth.
under stress.
And then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Those hands come down.
Yes.
The jab looks weak.
Yep.
You're leaving it out there.
You're no longer twisting your foot. You just flat footed,
Yeah.
and then you're done.
Vulnerability. So, you know, we talk about all of that.
So now we're gonna get into the actual like mechanics of them, right? But just so this is my view, and you said it real good how they associate firearms with crime. And now you're right, but I feel I'm not trying to get too conspiratorial on here, but by design, I feel when you look at rap artists or hip hop culture, it's holding a gun with 37 bullets and AKs and spray. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
And who are the ones rapping? If you look at a rapper, you're like, oh. And they're holding these guns. You look at like Chicago rappers and the drill music. It's all real guns in the video. You're like, oh my God.
Yep.
None of them manufacture the gun.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
They're not even sponsored by
Yeah.
Mossberg. Mossberg does not pay you.
And you know how much money Mossberg made off of rappers and Smith & Wesson? Look at my jacket.
Yeah.
It's a rap group that got sued by Smith & Wesson and had to change their name to Cocoa Brothers.
Yeah.
Cocoa Brothers. And then they finally were able to go to Smith & Wesson again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or now, actually, now I think they still go. Now I go General Steel and Tech, I think, is what they do. But then it's that. So then you got that. Then you have movies. Then you got to see who are the people that own these labels. At the time, because hip-hop music has been underground since Onyx.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Since its inception.
Because
right?
as soon as it went to like, when hip-hop started with like, Cool Herc, Cool G rapping, white lines, and they were like, pissing hallways. It was an uplifting music to our community. But
Right.
as soon as the higher powers were like, oh, they're teaching each other something? How about we give them a little bit of money, but we only give money to those that talk reckless. And it creates a demographic of, oh, the only way I could get paid is if I rap about guns and cars and girls and strip clubs. Yeah. So now that turns into a person that isn't from our community. They think that that's what our community is. I'm like, no. Somebody paid outside of our community, paid somebody in our community to sound like that.
Yeah.
So it isn't, that isn't it. You can go to my community and see vegetarians. You see people with gardens. You see people that like guns, people that don't like guns. Responsible gun owners. It's like a whole world. It's just we have different melanin and we come from a different place. And our culture is different. So that, I feel, is why I like what y'all are doing. Because listen, at the end of the day, we're all humans. And we all have the same rights. Whether some choose to believe it or not, that's on you.
Yeah.
And whatever you believe in, the higher powers just settle that out when it's your time. But the fact that you're doing is like, no, we're humans. And you have that right. And just because you're from somewhere, or you look like something, or your melanin is a certain level, this option is not cut off to you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's not cut off to you.
Absolutely.
You're allowed like they're allowed.
And it's crazy because legislation, like if you take all the paperwork off the table and you look at the history of gun control legislation, it shows how they tighten up whenever our community begins to rise. They show even now, I mean, take it. Coronavirus has affected the ammunition manufacturers immensely.
Oof.
They're operating at somewhere like a 10% of what they're used to operating, and there's like a 500% growth in gun ownership and demand, right? So anybody who's selling holsters, anybody who's selling slings, anybody who's selling any accessory, this tactical light,
They can't keep up.
they can't keep up. They can't keep up with the demand.
And they're half staff as well.
Yeah, so
They're suffering from corona as well.
So we see that, but it's a great time for those legislators to see that though our community is rising in gun ownership, we can't access ammo. And if we don't have ammo, we can't train. Well, at least that's what they think. There's so many things you can do to train at home, dry firing,
Yes.
airsoft, right?
I'm an advocate for that.
We talked about that, how those skills translate directly into real firearms, right? We've seen guys like Lucas Boykin have that segment with the brother who was an airsoft tactician, and as soon as they put a real rifle in his hand,
I think he's from Japan because I think firearms are illegal in Japan, so he never shot a real firearm.
he never shot a real firearm, but he was hitting shots for like 25 yards, 4-inch plates.
Tactical reloads. Just
Tactical,
in motion, sidestepping around
Yep.
cones, and you're like, off of what? Airsoft?
Yeah. So we there's different ways to train, and if
I'm
if
playing
you're-
tomorrow.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how to train, feel free to hit us up on Instagram.
NJ Sharpshooters, though. I'll put the link in the description so y'all can find everything at the end. I have all that info on there. We're probably gonna shout out like 70 more times just in case.
Absolutely.
'Cause you already know it's all love. Lionel, we fan, bro.
It's always
You
been
already
love.
know.
Always been love.
You already know.
And listen, I'm gonna tell you this the same way it's confusing navigating through the process of just getting a firearm. If it wasn't for Isaiah, we wouldn't have got off the ground in the first place, because just navigating on how to register the business and how, because we're a 501. I don't even know what designation we are. I know that it's a nonprofit, but it's like
1C7.
a 501c7, which is different from your standard 501c3 or the fraternal 501c10. Like there are different designations for nonprofits, and there's different responsibilities that we have in order to have a tax exempt status. You know what I mean? So
Correct.
But it's for us. It's not about anything but community engagement, and it's always been that way, right? It's always been that way
With anything.
since back in the day, since each one teach one, right? Since the Love Movement, all these different community organizations that I've been a part of. Even as a commissioner on the redevelopment agency, we brought in over $1 billion to the city of Perth Amboy, created over 1,900 jobs, and it's an unpaid position. It's 100% voluntary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a volunteer. I mean, you have to be appointed by the mayor and then approved by the council. But ultimately, there is not a dollar value associated with the position. Everything that we do comes from our heart. We want to improve the conditions in our community, and most of those conditions that you're going to see that translate into this realm are socioeconomic conditions, right? Mom can't be home to make sure that your homework is done because she's got to work 2 jobs. So what do? We try to, through our conditional designations, and contracts, and agreements, we try to have these companies that are coming into our city pay a reasonable amount of money.
Yes.
Right? We try to structure the workday to 10 hours, 4 days a week, so that you have 3 days at home. You're still getting 40 hours. If you need overtime, you can
like
work
some Europe shit.
Yeah, you can work a 5th day. We actually structured it from based off the fireman's work structure. 4 days on, 3 days off. But or some police departments do the same thing.
And are there businesses that came in that ran with that pattern? With
Yeah,
that flow?
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna say every business because
Not
not
everyone,
like that. But
yeah.
every contract is different. You know what I mean? But we push for that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We
at least you
absolutely-
tried.
We push for that, and so you see, if you look at the average income, 10 years ago to the average household income today, you look at the numbers and you see that, wow, it's a growth that is putting us in a position where the next generation is going to be able to make a push, and that's all we can strive for. We change these socioeconomic conditions and give your people more freedom. You give them more options, right?
Correct.
And then the decision is still on them, but at the very least, you created opportunities, and that's the same thing we do here. Like, I can't stop anybody from utilizing this for whatever they decide to use it for. At the end of the day, this is just a tool. It's just a tool, right?
Correct.
Like a car. You have a higher percent risk rate of getting hit by a car than you do getting shot by a gun.
Correct.
You have a higher chance of getting hit by a car than dying from the coronavirus. So, like, we don't have this crazy legislation over cars where we're like, we got to get these cars off the road. Look at the growth of cars every year.
And then it's like this. Yeah.
And it's like, all right, in New Jersey, if you want to get a concealed carry permit, you have to provide a letter of need where it's like, I think the criteria is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Man.
It's like I own a jewelry store and I got robbed 3 times at gunpoint.
Yes, yeah.
And I got shot. The bullet's still in me. They're like, now you could get it.
Yeah. And
bro, at this point, I'm lucky I'm here even arguing for the conceal.
It's crazy because you have to sit here and say, like, there are incidents that have happened before. Look at the police reports. This is why I need it. I'm like, damn, man. Why don't these same lawmakers shift their energy to insurance companies? Like, the insurance company should show me a letter of need, right? Because this is my insurance.
Yes.
So if I have to provide a letter of need for this insurance, then Geico should provide a letter of need.
On why I need that.
On why I need it.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I tell you, listen, I need it because there's a possibility that somebody may come into my house and want to take evil actions on my family.
Correct.
And they're like, well, the chances of that happening, it's like, all right, well, you're saying there's a chance. So that chance is similar to the chance of me dying in a car accident. So why am I paying insurance?
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. It's either one or the other.
Yeah.
And we're always going to promote freedom over anything else, right? So, because this is America, and it is what it is.
This is America.
The greatest country in the world. Even with all of its nonsense,
it's still one of the best.
It's still one of
the best.
Yeah, one of the greatest countries in the world, man. And I say that with all sincerity. Like, I really do love this country and what it stands for, and how my family has been able to, come from being coming from a first generation of immigrants into this country to almost everybody in my family, going into either the military, getting some type of career set for themselves, becoming homeowners. And I'm just like, there's so many countries you go and you can't do that if you wanted to. You know what I mean?
The opportunities are not there. This is America.
And it is what it is. So,
good and bad.
Yeah.
Even the bad things, you're like, well, this is America.
Yeah.
That happens here as well. And there's always the good things.
Let's compare that, the negative things that happen to any other country in the world. And you'll see that evil exists everywhere.
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 As long as there's humans and power.
And it's so exhausting when you look at, like, what happens. And, some people say, like, the only thing that's going to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And I firmly believe that. But unfortunately, it's not the case, because even in situations like what happened in Las Vegas, there are zones where guns are not allowed in.
Correct.
So this is what we like to call victim-only zones. Yeah. So only the bad guy with the gun is going to be there, because the good guy couldn't bring his gun to that location, even though he's carrying it in a concealed fashion. It's safe, responsible. He can't bring it. So,
and I get that, because it goes to the level of, I understand when they say those things, right? Like, it's a school zone, no firearms. I obviously, right? But there is more emphasis. This is how I personally feel. This is a personal opinion. If a bad person takes a firearm and decides that he is going to take this firearm, whether legal or illegal, and is willing to take one or greater amount of lives, that person is not rational, because I would never, even if somebody came in my house and broke in, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to take, I got to live with that.
Yeah.
Sticky Fingers from Onyx said, killing was easy, living with it was the hard ish.
Yeah.
right? So now, if that person is already, we don't discuss mental health enough
Right.
because we just automatically assume that's like saying, oh, the car. No. It's because he was drunk.
Yeah.
So all right, a drunk driver. Let's blame the car.
Yeah. Let's blame.
Let's
yeah,
all put breathalyzers in the cars then.
Yeah.
But we don't do that. You get what I'm saying?
Or say like, let's blame this particular car. Right. This particular cut and model and year.
Yes.
It's what we do with
No
the
more
AR.
Accords.
Yeah. It's what we do with the AR-15. Even though the AR-15.
That's a good point.
The AR-15 is used in less than 3% of all criminal activity involving firearms. It's involved in 90% of the conversations regarding gun control.
Why do you want one?
Yeah, and it's like oh, that's
Why do you don't? Why don't you?
Yeah, it's the most effective form of defense, right? And also, it's a very good, dependable rifle to shoot varmint, to hunt, right? But let's be honest. And for the viewers who are out there, I know that there's a misconception that the AR-15 stands for the assault rifle. Right?
It's not.
AR does not stand for assault rifle.
It's not.
AR stands for Armalite Rifle, which is the company that created the AR platform, right? The AR-15 is a civilian construct
Of like an M4-ish.
of a military version of
Correct.
the AR platform. Now, the AR-15 has never seen the light of day of war. It's never been to war. If you went to war with an AR-15, our soldiers would have a lot of problems because it's a semi-automatic firearm. It doesn't have the capacity. Like there's certain things that it just doesn't have. Certain capacities that it just doesn't have that you would be required in a state of war.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's technically a normal firearm.
Yeah, it's just a regular firearm. It's a semi-automatic firearm, which means that there's one round that exits the barrel for every trigger pull, and that it automatically chambers the next round until you run out of ammo. And that's all semi-automatic means. So one round goes off for every trigger pull, and that's it. If I held it there, it would just stop.
Yeah, it's just one.
Yeah, there's just one. It doesn't mean that there's a continuous fire.
Correct.
So there's a lot of misconceptions, and the media is responsible. I don't want to say completely responsible, but majority
90%
responsibilities is on the media.
Assault. Who are we assaulting? Like,
and even when you hear stuff like you don't need an AR-15, just use a shotgun. It's like what so one of the things that we're trained when you're utilizing or negotiating a firearm is to make sure that you're aware of your target and what lies beyond it. Right?
correct.
In a home defense scenario, a slug, if you miss, is going to go right through your wall and hit whatever's beyond it.
Correct.
And that might be a family member. Right?
Correct.
That might be, so it may not always be the most effective home defense system, especially when you may have multiple users. So in my family, my fiance has her FID card. My oldest daughter is trained on how to utilize a firearm. If something were to happen and I was incapable of discharging a firearm, she's trained on how to utilize it. She knows. So we do it in a way where it's like target practice. We set up some really cool targets, and we have so much fun at the range. It's a very good daddy-daughter time, and we use it to formulate that bond through those experiences. But should there ever be a scenario where I was down for whatever reason, there was a surprise.
Yeah, they got you first because obviously you're going to be first on the front line. Yeah, and they got you first, God forbid.
She's equipped. Everybody in my family is responsible as part of my emergency plan, right? Because there's a plan in place, just like we talked about earlier, fortifying the house, developing an emergency exit, right? My neighbors are aware, like my children may be coming to you. If they do, this is what it means. Please take action.
It's real.
Please take action in this manner, And so in my community, my neighbors are all aware of our plans, and I'm well aware of their plans, and we have this communication, and it really is a community where I live. But
I wish I had that more.
Yeah, so you just got to establish it, man. Find common ground,
Yeah.
Find common ground, man.
I'm gonna have to work on that because I cleared my whole house, up to down, downstairs, upstairs, dark, light, all the firearms, ran through every room.
Yeah. CQB.
Everything.
One person CQB.
One person CQB.
That's awesome.
But hey, muscle memory.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to stumble my toe in the middle of a stressful. I need to, in pitch blackness,
Yeah.
be able to count 13 steps down.
Yeah.
And be like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm at 12. The next step I have is floor. There's not, now I'm stumbling because I thought it was another step. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it sounds crazy. Like, you're not going to be counting steps in a you might not. But if I never practiced, I'm going to just be, you lucky I even make it down the steps.
You'd be surprised how much of that happens automatically.
And you retain.
I think it's like 95% of our actions are subconscious.
Correct. That's what I mean. If you
yeah,
just
so-
over and over and I walk through my house because of airsoft now, I could be anywhere. I went airsofting last week, right? I went to the gas station. I went in there to get something to drink. I come out and I open up the door to come out of, mind you, I didn't even come home yet. I opened up the door to the gas station and my peripheral saw 2 guys coming into the store, and I was like, I saw them like, oh.
Yeah, you're detecting.
Because they're not on my team. So I'm still, because
Yeah.
I was just airsofting an hour and a half ago. So now I'm like, I knew there was no threat. I'm not on playing airsoft, but it's that muscle memory to the
Absolutely.
point where I'm like, oh, and now let's say it's a regular Wednesday and I come out. I see that, I'm still like, okay. And I keep it moving, but I know, same thing with firearms. It takes, why are you teaching teacup? It takes a respectable thing. You get what I'm saying? And we need to teach. And that's why I'm glad that there's a group and an organization like you guys that can teach the community, that can go out there and be like, this is attainable. This is attainable.
Yeah, it's obtainable. You know, there are plenty of conversations to be had, right? You're not just gonna walk into the firearms universe and be a pro. Even now, I'm very, very comfortable with the AR platform, with the handgun platform, with the revolvers. But there are some firearms that I have never fired. You know, there are some calibers that I've never fired. So
Correct.
Not one person is going to be the jack of all trades, if you will. So there are plenty of conversations, and there are things that you may have not considered prior to walking into this universe of firearms, like the difference between storing a firearm and staging a firearm, right? Because you don't want to be in a situation where you have to defend your family and you're there with a safe like.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. So there are some firearms that you store, and there are other firearms that you stage, and it's important to also consider the fact that in New Jersey, if you have a loaded firearm within the reasonable reach of a child, you're committing an infraction to the law.
Yes.
Yeah.
As it should be, though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So having these conversations and putting that in your head, and making you conscious of these decisions that you make at home, we're going to lead us to promote that safe and responsible
do you guys
culture.
have like a community? Have you? Because I know this is still kind of fresh as far as like being established.
Right.
So you guys, this is still kind of fresh because
Absolutely.
right.
We're in the baby stages. Absolutely.
Exactly right. So I don't know, but it's a genuine question. If there is, I would like to know. But if there isn't, do you plan on having, if you haven't already, like a meeting, a community board where, because everybody's like, let's email. It's like, no. We need to, Corona is a little sketchy. I get it. We could Zoom it, right?
Yeah.
Where we get up and even discuss like, today is only storage. 40 minutes. We're going to talk about storage. I don't want to talk about the application. That's another day. Today is, do you guys have or plan on having meetings on discussing, because there's a million levels to this.
Absolutely. So what we're doing is we're actually partnering with a company called Envision.
Okay.
And they're going to be putting out all of our social media content. So we're going to be discussing all of these issues and just putting it out through videos. You know, the same way any other YouTube channel will put it out. But,
Correct.
But our content is going to be specific to New Jersey.
Yes.
Because a lot of these guys, they're out Midwest, man.
They're in Texas. Yeah. Look at my gun room.
Yeah.
You got a 50 caliber in there.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, so whenever you're using this, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
Skip. You know, because
I use it for the knowledge of the firearm.
yeah.
Just for that,
and then-
as a nerd. Like
Yeah.
a nerd, I'm like, I geek out. And I'm like, oh. I could never have that. But if
No.
I did, I know.
And that's the thing. There's not a lot of New Jersey based resources.
Because it's
And-
so hard.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do is start writing letters to the ATF or start writing letters to the state police, because then it puts it on their dock like, wait a minute, yeah, you're right. What are we doing about this? And then the next thing you know, there's a new law that's more restrictive. It's always going to be more restrictive.
It's
right?
always
Yeah.
listen. That's the thing. It starts off somewhere small, and I'm gonna say those thoughts for another episode where I get mad crazy with conspiracies. But it starts off with something really small, and then you don't really notice it, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna limit the mags from 15 to 10 rounds," and you're like, "Yeah," and people are like, "That's safe," and then it goes from 10 to, "Hey, they did 10. I bet you they'll settle for 7." And then they're like, "Look, you can get a firearm with 1 round in it."
Yeah.
And you're like, "What?" Yeah, no, you just slide something in there, you get 1 round. And then they're like, "You know what? Now you could just hold the empty one," and you just scare.
Yeah.
Bro, they know it's unloaded. It's a fake fire. And then they're like, "You know what? We don't need guns anymore."
Listen to this.
Firearms.
Listen to this. It's so frustrating to hear people say this. People that have no idea or never really held a firearm in their hand, when they say stuff.
I know you're going
Yeah,
with this.
when they say stuff like, "Oh, just grab the shotgun and take 2 blasts in the air, and it's gonna scare the life." Like, who's it gonna scare?
Yeah.
Who's it?
I will say this though.
Damage your property.
I don't know if you heard the last episode, right? I don't want to discuss what I do tactically
Right.
in my household, right?
Right.
But I spoke with Anthony Kenny. I told him, shout out to him, right? My coworker was like, Did you peep the last episode?
I haven't had a
All
chance
right.
to
He
watch it in
said,
its
my
entirety.
coworker said, you're allowed to have a pistol, but why do you need a shotgun for home defense? And this is my thing. Never fired a gun. I don't know. It's not a gun owner. You shouldn't need a shotgun for home defense. A pistol is better. A shotgun looks menacing. I'm like, right there. I'm like, anything that could. A knife is menacing. I could still take your life with a knife.
It's a deterrent.
It's a deterrent. But this is my thing.
Go ahead.
My bad.
No,
And
it's all good.
I'm like, for somebody that doesn't have a firearm, you don't know the trajectory of a bullet, right?
Right.
So sure, shotgun doesn't have enough spread, but the sound is a slight deterrent,
Yeah.
depending on the level of criminal and his mental.
You're
If
right.
you hear that rack of the clack clack compared to
Let's give the viewers that rack.
once again, all these firearms are cleared.
They have been
They
cleared.
are cleared. Some don't even have bolts in them.
Yeah. So
Well, that one doesn't have a bolt in it.
Yeah, we removed the internals just to make sure that there's no possibility. But this is a Remington 870 tactical shotgun.
Where's the safe on that? By the grip?
It's kind of it's
Thumb
right here.
safe?
Yep. Let me
I don't.
check
That's
it.
the only reason why I didn't
So
like
listen, it's right here. You could change it. You could change the location, but it's a humongous safe.
that one. Mossberg right on top though.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's mine.
yeah.
got the
He's got the Mossberg.
Which one?
I,
Mossberg
the
what?
590.
590
Yeah,
Defender.
590.
Okay,
It's-
I got
it's
the old school
basically-
Field and D 500 with the gold trigger and the wood stock.
It's
Ooh.
basically the A70, but with the Mossberg version. But this is tricked up. This one's got an ATI T3 pistol grip in stock, so I don't have the traditional shotgun.
It's like almost a
Handle?
45-ish
I don't
kind
have
of.
it. I have a pistol grip, but if you engage the action, you hear that, and
That might make somebody be like,
uh-oh.
oh, compared to just a regular. So this is what I'm saying.
It's a deterrent.
It's a
Absolutely.
deterrent. But now also, once again, tactically, I'm not gonna say off air. I'll let y'all know you know what I mean. But this is why it's gonna be hard to explain because I don't reveal my tactical
Right.
shit. But depending on the round or the ammo that you're using in your shotgun, it's a big difference from bird to buck
Yeah,
to
it's a
slug.
slug.
Definitely.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
difference. For your home defense, it would be this is how deep I go. What is your house made out of?
Yeah.
What are your neighbors' houses made out of?
Yep.
Where do their children sleep? I know it sounds crazy, but like you see them feeding the kid on that second floor, you're like, oof. Whatever happens, that direction is out.
Yeah.
Like that direction is out.
Something else to consider is who's going to be negotiating the firearm if something happens. So not everybody. My daughter's not comfortable negotiating a 870 shotgun.
Of
right?
course.
But I am. So in my home, we have what's called the fatal funnel, where once you go up the stairs,
This is my water, right?
yeah, that's your water. This is my right. All the bedrooms are on the second floor, so we don't have a fire escape, right? So the only position that I need to maintain is at the top of the staircase.
Correct.
And just watch that funnel, right, from which any threat can engage my family. We have a plan where everybody's going to be positioned on the second floor. Who's responsible for making the phone call? You know, who's responsible for making sure that certain things are in place. And,
Correct.
And if there is a
threat.
or whatever, you know, we do have deployable window ladders that you tug onto the window and then just throw out your window. And it's a 2-story ladder and it's made out of rope and stuff like that. And it's really cool. You get them at Home Depot or any home improvement store. Yeah. Shout out to Home Depot.
Oh no, I don't give a shit. Shout
great-
out to Home Depot
yeah.
and Lowe's. I heard they closing down Lowe's though.
Yeah,
They be
yeah.
closing all around me.
So you know, these are
That
things
was
that
not a
happen.
paid ad, by the way.
Nah,
So
man.
no- Holla at me. Email the awolpod@gmail.com if you want to be sponsor for the podcast.
Home Depot.
Home Depot. I got
We,
everything.
we could use some peg walls and stuff.
Everything.
So,
Oh yeah, some Traeger grills. I'll take a
yeah,
Traeger grill
yeah.
after a nice day at the range. Throw some meat on there.
So
You don't. You
no,
don't.
I'm vegan. By
Yeah,
the way,
yeah.
I'm vegan.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Don't worry. We got cucumber sandwiches
That-
over there in the
that's
back.
awesome.
I got you,
You got
bro.
the hummus.
Yeah,
There
we
you
got
go.
the hummus.
So I just need to watch out for that fatal funnel. And for me, the trajectory of anything that I discharge at that point, I'm shooting into the ground. Right?
Yes.
Right? I'm shooting,
Yes.
So I don't have to worry about it. So a shotgun with 6 shells in it is a 6-person weapon. Right?
Correct.
I don't have to worry about shot placement. It's an excellent choice for that particular scenario.
Correct.
Now, if I'm navigating through the house and I'm coming in from the back, I don't know where my kids are. It's a horrible choice, right? But
So you would what would you rather have? A pistol?
if I'm doing
If you're navigating through the house?
if I'm navigating through the house, I would much rather have a caliber that's not going to be
As big of a
Yeah,
spread.
as big of a
Because you don't
spread.
know where your children are,
Yeah.
especially if you have a ranch style type of house where there
Yeah.
are no second for everybody's on the same floor.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
And you don't know where the threat came from. You just heard a noise and your
Yeah.
bedroom's over there, your daughter's bedroom's over. Somebody coming around the corner, you're just
Yeah, so
yeah.
you know,
Then how you hold your shotgun in a home self-defense situation as opposed to when you're going clay shooting or something.
yeah, absolutely. You know,
Oh, that's a good point.
so you know, there are so many different variables, and we can discuss them if you DM us on NJ Sharpshooters.
Once again, hit him with that. It's gonna be in the description down below.
So you know, these are conversations, but something as simple as like let's take a look at what we have here, right? Something as simple as a 22 caliber. This may be effective for somebody small, for somebody who may have arthritis, right? For somebody who may not be old enough to handle or big enough frame-wise to handle
Yup.
the recoil of a 40 caliber pistol or a firearm such as a rifle.
Let alone a 9.
Yeah, something like that. You know what I mean? So this is an excellent choice. It's a Ruger LCP2. Like I said, the slide, the negotiation of the slide is really easy. It was made with the users with arthritis in mind. So chambering around is easy. This is almost like a toy. You know, it's that easy to chamber around. But
Let me see that. Oh yeah.
it's smooth. It's butter. It's almost like
It's
a competition. Yeah, it's a 22 caliber. It's almost like a competition. 1911. That's what it reminds me of. That slide, the ease of the slide. Ugh.
Yeah. I was airsofting last week. But one of the females that work at the airsoft place, she's always there ringing us up. Seen her for like a month, and then last week they're like, "Oh, she's playing with us." I was like, "All right, cool." Came out there just a metal mask, the goggles. Kind of find out she's like top 3 females on the East Coast of competition shooting. She's like 18. I think she's like 18, 19.
Yep. I'm
Petite thing.
I see that all day, every day at the range. I see the amount of female users that we're seeing is incredible. And anybody, right? You know, when I give instructions on how to grip a firearm, and I say, like, you know, when you make your purchase, you want to get high on the high on the tang, on the beaver tail, which is the back part of this. This part of the grip of the, should I say, the frame, is designed to make sure that your hand doesn't come up and is in the way of the slide when it reciprocates.
So you don't get pinched.
Because this can cut you, right? So, but you want to get as high as possible, because if you get low, it leaves room. When this slide comes back at 20, 30 miles an hour, that muzzle wants to rise.
Yes.
Right? And it's going to get very snappy. And unless you're an experienced shooter, you might not even be able to handle that. It might come right out of your hand. It might. So you want to get as high as possible and be able to control that recoil, right?
Correct.
It's not going anywhere, right? And so that support hand comes under, and it goes right into the grooves of your dominant hand.
Yep.
The fat part of your palm goes right into the
there's a little pocket that happens naturally.
I call it the couch.
It's like a little pocket.
Put it on the couch, and then your dominant thumb comes over your support hand thumb, and that's when you bring it to eye level, make your presentation, line up your sights, create a sight picture, and then we can put the trigger finger into the trigger well.
Correct.
But just so we're all on the same page, the muzzle of the firearm is never pointed at anything you don't want to see destroyed, first and foremost. Secondly, your trigger finger is always off the trigger until you've lined your sights and you can make sure of your target and what lies beyond it.
And positive pressure on, to add to that, when you put positive pressure on the side, right? This isn't like, let me just put my finger. There is a little bit of force on your positive pressure on your finger outside of the trigger. When you put it on the side, you're not just touching the side. You're pushing
onto the frame.
Hard almost.
So
there is no bump itch.
Yeah.
Somebody could hit your arm, and if you are holding the firearm correctly, you could probably shove me as hard as you want, and my finger's not gonna, by mistake, slip in there.
Absolutely. And you're basically clamping the gun at that point, right? Mm-hmm. Making sure that the muzzle can't go right, can't go left. Correct. It has no other choice but to reciprocate back and forth, and making all of your shots linear.
Are those the stock sights that it came with?
Yeah. No. These are not stock sights. No. All right. Tritium night sights.
You put it. Okay.
Yeah. So this is an ambidextrous firearm, right? So the magazine release, instead of being on a button on the side, let's release that real quick, like the Beretta, this is
Does that have a beaver tail on it?
Yeah, every firearm you're gonna see has a beaver tail.
I think 1911s are considered beaver tails the second safety. Don't they consider that the second safety?
There's a second safety, yeah. The 1911 does have a safety applied to the beaver tail portion of the frame, but every firearm...
They consider that the beaver tail on all of them?
Yeah, okay. The beaver tail, or another common term for this is called the tang. You want to get high on your tang, high tang. But here we have the oversized magazine release.
That's not ambi.
No, this is not an ambidextrous magazine.
So if you were lefty...
You would have to switch or you would take your trigger finger, or you find a way to manipulate it. It takes some training.
But that you could swap over, right? And make it ambi?
You can make it ambi.
You could just take it, open it, take it out, and just...
Switch all the internals and stuff. Yeah, there are options. But typically, these are going to come out of the box designed for a right-handed shooter. And, to release the magazine, you put pressure on the magazine release button, and there you have it. With the H&K VP9, there is no button on either side. Instead, on the trigger well, you have a lever.
I love it.
Accessible on both sides.
Middle finger mine.
Yep. So you can just pull down on that lever.
That's how you do it?
No, I don't. I just use my thumb, and I slap it. Just come down, boom, and it slides right out like butter. I love the.
It is crazy how like everybody would do it different.
Yeah.
Tactically, I don't want to change my hand position.
Yeah. So and
I'd
that's
rather just go.
and that's dependent, right, on your hand. right?
Yeah.
So when I make a tactical reload, first of all, the firearm comes into my workspace.
Yes.
Right? It comes into my workspace. So from here, I'm orienting my thumb over to my right hand, slapping that lever, at the same time manipulating my hand to grab the extra mag from my pouch, and I'm using my index finger to guide the magazine into the mag well.
Correct.
And hitting the slide, boom, and now I'm able to
Yeah.
present
I
my
guess on a
firearm forward.
situational, maybe middle finger, maybe I would do thumb. Like if I was on some tactical, like I might thumb it.
Yeah, really. Any way you
Yeah.
slice it, you know.
Yeah.
There are some techniques that'll save you that half a second, and that's vital, right? Especially in a gunfight. But for
What?
and-
As a civilian, we're not in a.
yeah, but this is the thing, right? So I never like to concede to that concept. I never like to say like,
That'll never happen to us.
Well, I never like to say, well, you know, you'll never have to worry about that because 9 times out of 10 in a defense situation, that is your version of a gunfight. You know,
Yeah.
you understand what I'm saying? And that half
Yo,
a second
Yeah.
could be the determining factor on whether you survive or not. So I like to train for worst case scenarios, and I like
Let's
to
bring that in a little bit to you.
you know, I like to train for worst case scenarios, but I always have a positive mentality, right? I'll always, you know, make sure that this is the absolute last line of defense, the absolute last line. You exhaust every single other option, but then if it comes down to this, it's kind of like facing that final boss. That final boss is never upset that he's being challenged. You know what I mean?
No, yo, that's crazy. I never thought about that.
Yeah. When
He's like,
you bring it on.
so,
yeah.
he's never upset that
Never-
you're like,
Yeah, never upset. So it's like, oh, you broke all the windows. Oh, you killed my dog, John Wick, right? You got past my security system. You
Yeah.
found every magnifiable blind spot for my cameras. Okay, congratulations.
now it's on.
You're a formidable opponent.
Exactly. And if you made it that far,
Now,
at this point, you're seasoned.
yeah,
You're not like some
No.
run of the mill.
no,
Times are rough. Let me go breaking this.
yeah,
No, this is your job.
Right.
This is your career,
and at that point, like
illegal or not.
You have to take and I'm unapologetic about this. You have to take pride in your capacity to defend your family,
Of course.
right? So, in a situation,
Or yourself, because I don't have a family or kids. But listen,
or yourself. So
I'm gonna defend
yeah,
myself.
I was just gonna say, in a situation like what you have here, where is you have a lot of valuables in here. You know what I mean? You have your own self protection that you have to worry about. Yes, anything can be replaced. So 100%, the first choice is going to be to evade, to escape.
Of course.
Everything is replaceable, and that should never change, right?
Never.
That concept should never change. It should always be, I'm going to get out of here, let the cops do their thing, let them report back to me. What do I have
If they
left?
find my stuff,
Yeah.
they find my stuff.
What
if
do-
not, I got.
Yeah, what do I have left? You know, it
I'm
is
still
what it is.
breathing.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
But
But if it
like
comes
you
down
said,
to
if
it,
it comes down to it,
listen, bro. If it's me or you, life or death, I want better odds.
yeah.
I want better odds.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I want better odds.
And it's the same thing with anything we do in life, with anything. Like, you don't go to a job and you're like, well,
You could give me $8 an hour.
or you don't go to a job with a blank piece of paper and be like, well, in a civilian application, we're not gonna need this resume. No, you always want to give your the best possible profile whenever you're being challenged in any arena of life, right? In anything you do, you want to give yourself the best opportunity of success, the best rate
Mental
of success.
or physical.
Yeah, absolutely. Spiritual as well.
Or spiritual. Correct.
Because we do so much in preparation for a perceived next life. So, you know, there's that fear of God. There's, you know, so all these things come into play. But when it comes to negotiation of firearms, when it comes to the New Jersey gun laws, when it comes to having a positive mind state, pushing the culture, right?
Yeah.
Creating family-friendly environments, competitions. We do every Wednesday. We have skeet shooting where we invite people. And listen, we're not making any money here. I'm paying for the ammo, and I'm paying for the clay pigeons. Everybody's welcome. You can come.
But they have to bring their own legal firearm.
Negative. All the only thing we have a hunting permit, a hunting ID, and they can use one of our guns. They don't have to have a firearms identification. They don't have anything. They don't have to have anything. They can just come. We'll show you the ropes. We'll teach you how to shoot. We'll teach you how to get your sights on, and you're gonna have a blast. Literally, right? I don't want to be cliche about it, but you're gonna
have a blast.
You're gonna have a
and
blast.
And just in case, you are a range
safety officer.
Safety officer at an actual range. So when you're there, this is not some guy that just owns a firearm. It's like, don't worry, I know what I'm doing.
No.
Like everybody's friend is a mechanic.
Yeah,
and you tell them to change a battery, and next thing you know, the car's done.
Absolutely.
So you know. So just in case they think this isn't no like run of the mill willy nilly.
No, we
go to NJ Sharpshooters.
Yeah, we provide we provide instructions. We provide instructions, and there are courses. Listen, if you want to do it in a way that's not going to save you money, there are absolutely, and there are NRA certified courses that you can take, right? For a lot of money, and we're talking like $225, $250 per course, and they're gonna show you how to put the cup on the saucer. They're gonna show you how
$225.
Yeah, for $225. They're gonna show you that. You're gonna get a nice little piece of paper, and you're gonna be on your way. Or, like I said, we do this for the benefit of the community.
So a person would contact NJ Sharpshooters, figure out what Wednesday it is, or every Wednesday. They figure out the time on NJ Sharpshooters. They go there, and
we take them from A to Z.
A to Z.
A to Z.
What does somebody have to bring with them?
So what we always suggest that you bring with you is some snacks, something to hydrate with, because we're in a park where it's a state park, and shooting is allowed there, but there are no available food resources.
Yeah, there's no amenities.
No amenities at all. Clothing that's appropriate. So bring jeans, bring boots, bring a t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt or something. Like I said, some of these projectiles, the casings are hot.
Correct.
And if they touch your skin, it may.
Correct. There's actual clothes that go with firearms. It's when you're on a practice level and a training level.
Absolutely. When you're training, all of your clothes has to be fire retardant, right?
Yes.
There's certain applications with it. But for you guys, that's all you'll need to bring. We'll bring the ammo. We'll bring the clay pigeons.
And this is at no cost to the person?
No cost. It's something that we're providing now for free to try to promote the responsible gun ownership.
I respect that.
Not only that, bro.
That's bottom cheers.
Listen. No, and this is.
I respect that, bro.
Go ahead. Bottom cheers.
Oh man.
This is something, and we've discussed this.
Shout out to y'all.
I work in partnership with Paul Corbett, who's a boxing trainer at Asbury Park boxing gym, which is now being occupied by the Asbury Park Fire Department. So we, the children of Asbury Park at this moment don't have a boxing gym, and that's, as you know, like some of the resources that we had that kept kids off the street were some of these PAL programs, these police athletic league programs, and because they're not available, so we take everybody. We'll take anybody. You know what I mean? We'll take anybody. And look, growing up, I didn't have these experiences with my father. I don't want to sit here and give a sob story. I didn't have that role model, but we absolutely want to be able to provide that moment, right, where we're offering these opportunities as somebody who may not be able to afford them. Listen, if you can afford it, pick up some clay pigeons, right? If you can.
Don't come out here.
Yeah. Listen.
Don't come out here. I get what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
If you could.
Yeah, if you could.
Bring your own pigeons.
Yeah, bring your, and
they're not
clay
even
pigeons,
that much.
But they're really like orange discs. You can pick them up at Dick's.
Yes.
You don't need any FID
I thought Dick stopped selling anything to do with firearms.
No, they don't.
They came back?
No. So we don't want to go down that road, right? Because I think even Mossberg won't deal with them. But they don't sell anything like 5.56, 223. handgun, but they do sell shotguns. They sell hunting.
They still sell.
Yeah.
It's still like hunting sport.
So you could still go there and get double lot buck. You could get. They still sell ammo.
I get my birdshot there, number 8 birdshot. I get it from Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah, absolutely.
Went there on Black Friday,
Yeah,
and I was like, let me get 1 or 2.
yeah.
I did a couple sales, got a couple, right? Racks were full. I was like, I'll be back next week. I ain't gonna need it. Because I'm too busy. I went, I have an addictive personality when anything that I find fun,
Yeah, so do I.
right? So dirt bikes. I got a dirt bike, I got a TTR 125, something small. And I'm like, I need a 250 now. I'm going brand new. When I spent 8 racks on a bike.
Hey,
Like,
what do you get? KTM?
Yamaha for life.
Yamaha for life.
Yeah, YZ250.
All right.
60th anniversary edition, the
I
yellow
got
with
you.
the black.
Yeah, yellow and black. Yeah.
Yep. So I got that. Then it was like snowboarding. You already seen.
Yeah, I see.
Addictive. I'm anything with fun. Airsofting. Within a month, I already got 3 toys. 3
Listen-
airsoft guns.
Listen, bro, I'm there with you. I'm there with you. Like, I got back into my boxing thing, and I had the
I
same kind
seen
of
that.
personality, bro. Like I entered the 2020 Golden Glove tournament. I won, and then they cut the tournament.
What, because of the Rona?
Yeah, because of the Rona.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, dang. So we channel our energy in a different direction, but remain positive, remain structured.
Yeah.
And we do that. Like everything that we pick up and that we learn, we take that information, that education, and we transfer it to our community. And we try to say, like, look, I paid $250 for this information, but I want to give it to you for free. Just join me. Just meet me here, because I know that this is not accessible to our communities, and access is the name of the game, right? It's the name of the game, bro. Like when it, it's a coincidence, but in recent history, it hasn't been a coincidence that when gun ownership rises in our community, ammo prices rise with it,
Correct.
right? They like,
Supply and demand.
yeah, it's something.
This is America.
Listen,
This is capitalism. Hate it or love it.
but you can structure racially biased legislation
Correct.
during these times, like
Correct.
you'll see that in the cost. For instance, something like full auto is not illegal. Full auto is not illegal to an American citizen. It just costs a boatload of money. Like the application is like 10 grand.
To get the tax
Yeah,
stamp
to get
and
the
for
tax
a
stamp.
silencer.
Yeah, so the whole shebang. So who's paying for that? Not people in our community.
No.
We're not there yet. You understand what I'm saying? So we've been priced out of access. And that's something that we want to change in the culture. And we encourage everybody, man. Look, Joe, if you're a DJ, spread some love, man. Hold the workshop. You know what I mean? If you're a skateboarder, spread some love, man. Host a workshop. You know what I'm saying? Like, that concept of each one teach one didn't disappear because each one teach one disappeared.
No.
You understand what I'm saying?
No.
So it's our responsibility to give back, especially
Correct.
those of us who have have had the little success that we do have. It's our responsibility to give back. So anything that you know that can better the position of your neighbor, especially the kids in their community, do it.
Which is a bigger thing because, like you said, each one teach one. Son helps son.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how y'all feel, but I don't care what they do with firearms on the legal aspect, as far as banning, they are never gonna get every single one from criminals.
Listen, it's
Right? So this is what I mean. So at this point, I would rather have, if they have the right to it, I have the right to it. And I want to teach my community, my son, meaning I don't have a physical son, but like my homie's son, my homie's daughter, my homie's wifey, and whatever.
Yeah.
Come with me to the range, and I'm going to show you. I understand that you think this is... I brought plenty of people to the range that were like, I don't know. And then at the end of the day, they were like, oh, it isn't that bad.
not only that, but like, so I work at a 5-star range, right? So the range I work at has a cafe area. You know what I mean? It's got like a 511 tactical gear area. You can get some cargo pants. You get some cleaning solution. You get some electronic earmuffs, right? So like
I got the green joints, the little microphone.
I got you. So do I. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah,
About to run comms in it next
Yeah,
time.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I got to join you in this airsoft stuff, man.
Bro, listen.
But
We got a whole team going.
I got you.
Shout out to at Kiltex on Instagram, Kiltex Airsoft. Shout out to the General Juanito. You already know.
We're definitely gonna have that conversation. But you know, the two-way community is probably one of the most positive communities. Like people think that like an association of gun owners look like an association of stereotypical. Like the same stigma that you have with bikers, right? When you say like an association of bikers,
Hell's Angels.
Yeah. So
Like, what? No, I ride a double R. Like, what are you talking about? I'm a biker. I drive a 1000. I'm not on a Harley. What?
Not only that, but like I helped an organization called Trike Masters. They were running like 2.5 years without a home, and I helped them establish a location that was already pre-registered as a banquet hall and social club, so they didn't have to go through the process of the planning board and the schematics and
the whole logistics of just
it
starting
was
something.
already registered as a social club, therefore they didn't have to provide any blueprints, so it was so much easier for them. But when I tell you that the crowd, it was like looking at your own family. Like it was everybody. You had the elders, the young guys, and it wasn't this, typical image of what a biker club should look like. It just looked like your family, right? And then it changes your mind. So when you go to these ranges that are 5-star ranges, it definitely changes your scope because it's there goes the lingo, right? Your scope of comprehension.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trijicon. So
you can be a sponsor for AWOL or NJ Sharpshooters.
Shout out to Vortex.
Vortex.
Yeah. So it changes your perception of the community. You know what I mean?
Word.
And it's like if you feel that way, I'm pretty sure that throughout this podcast you've gotten a feeling for our characters. And if you feel like you want to dab into it and you're not sure, you want to have like a firsthand experience, I'm all about that, bro. Like, I will hold your hand through that process.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And let you know it's not as scary as you think it is.
It's not as scary as you think it is, man. Like, let's do it. Like, give rid of fear, doubt, and disbelief, and let's do it. Go do something different.
And once you cross that bridge, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
How long have you been a firearm owner?
Since the beginning of 2013.
Oh, wow.
And when I went through the process, you were talking about the PDFs and bringing in the handwritten material. I did it through Patterson's police department.
Yeah.
And there was no hand holding. I had nobody to go to. I was the first of my kind, like, that I knew.
Yeah.
I went, and I think I went like 3 times to the police station just to get it right, because the forms changed like in the middle of my application process. And then I had to go back and get another form, and you have to turn in everything together. And they made you get like 2 references, but they had to like sign the paper
and mail it back.
It was like a separate. This wasn't even the questionnaire. This was just to have them as references that they acknowledged that
I'm gonna be a reference.
I'm gonna be a reference.
Hold on. Let me ask you this. Did they also have like a ridiculous, it was like, you have to come on Tuesdays or Thursdays between 9 and 9:45?
Yeah, I think it was Tuesday from like, I think it was like 12 to 2:30 or something like that.
I don't got a job.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's crazy.
And then on Wednesday from like 6:30 to 8 p.m. So it was those little windows that you had to go.
Quick.
So I had to get out of work early, because I lived in Patterson, but I worked in Woodbridge. So I had to make that trip back. And I'm trying to make that window, and then I'm trying to make sure that I have all the paperwork in order, and then the passport photo and all this stuff.
You had to bring your own photo?
Yeah. They don't take your picture there.
Yeah.
So
they took a picture of my tattoos and everything.
So I went through this process, and mind you, like, this is back in like 2012. All right. So I applied in 2012, and after I got printed and everything was sent off, I didn't get my FID until the very beginning of 2013. It was a 13-month process or something like that.
My guest that I had here last week, he had to get a lawyer.
Yeah, so
He had to get a lawyer, and then when the lawyer emailed or sent a letter to said police station, they were like, "Oh, look, we got it. Here's your card."
yeah.
He was like, "Come on."
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and that's the sad part about it is that the response should take no longer than 30 days, but unless there's extenuating circumstances, and Corona is considered an extenuating circumstance. So I know people like in my city, I live in the city of Woodbridge right now. The process is not that long. They're really good in Woodbridge. Like it's like 6 weeks from the moment that you apply.
That boy was good too.
Yeah, but you know what? From what I'm hearing now, Perth Amboy is also asking you after you've done everything that we've done. Perth Amboy is asking you to come to the station with all the documents again to meet with a detective. So
I did.
Yeah, so
I
not
even
sure.
did it back then. I did it.
Yeah.
I met up with them.
So it's an extra
I might have
process.
had one of my homies walk. That's a police officer walk through. I don't know if he like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
help him out. Like you know what I mean.
So
But I
that's
don't
the
know,
thing.
'cause mine process was easy.
Yeah, and it may be easy. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm just saying that it's an extra step that they're requiring,
Correct.
and so the process is going to be different from municipality to municipality. And then there are some municipalities that don't have an organized police force, and so the application has to be sent to the New Jersey State Police directly. So results may vary. That's what I'm going to say. I want to give that disclosure. Results may vary.
Yeah,
Depending on the town.
Yeah.
But also though nowadays we're lucky that there's an online system that has streamlined a lot of these applications, so you're not going to the state police website trying to download PDFs and that's trying to find the right one to turn in was a pain.
It's much easier now.
But the FARS portal that they have now is much more convenient. You can pay through credit card. I remember when I had to apply, and back in 2012, I had to give a money order with a specific amount to the police department, a money order or a check to the fingerprint place, and then when I actually went in for that, like for the handgun permit, even though it was part of the application, I had to have a separate check or money order.
Me too.
For the handgun permit.
Me too.
Yeah.
I had to pay $5.
So
in a money order. I'm like, it cost me more to get the money order than the damn money order.
Yeah. So now you can pay for it in cash. But for the fun.
Yeah.
But listen to this, and this is another part that it's important for your viewers to understand is that the cost associated with being allowed to purchase a firearm, not purchasing a firearm, because that's going to vary depending on the firearm, right? If you want to get like a 1911, we're talking about $1,000 or better. For a decent 1911. Because you can get like a Rock Island Armory or something.
Yeah.
But
I got a SIG STX.
Forget it.
Oof, you already
So
know.
yeah. So listen, or you can get a high point. You know what I mean? A $200 gun that's gonna.
Hey.
You could throw it at whoever's trying to harm you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Other than that.
Yeah. If it's cold, it's gonna malfunction. If it's
Yeah.
hot, it's gonna malfunction. If
you load it, it's good.
It's gonna malfunction.
Disclaimer: we don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't sue me.
Yeah.
I own one of them. No, I
Yeah.
don't.
No,
Maybe.
No, I did. I
do
did. I tell you that I did.
We got a score in
Yeah,
the user owner.
I'm gonna tell you, man. I bought it because I think it was like $120. My friend sold it to me for. I paid more for the transfer.
The Nick check.
Yeah.
The Nick and transfers.
Yeah. So the transfer was $50. Yeah, and I think I paid more for the transfer than I did for the firearm. But it was a cool looking. It was a cool looking
Paperweight.
Paperweight, yeah. It was a cool looking paperweight, man. It's probably the most badass paperweight
It's
ever.
not a Kimber, but you know.
It's not a
Imagine somebody's like, this ain't Kimber ain't got nothing on this. You're like, ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
It's not an Austrian, John.
Word. How come Jordan got 3 feet?
Yeah,
Those
so-
aren't real J's, bro. Jordan got 3 feet.
But listen, so the cost associated is
Yeah.
going to be $5 for your firearms purchaser identification, which is going to allow you to purchase any shotgun or rifle. And I'm going to
Any long gun, technically.
Yeah, any long gun. I'm going to hold this up. Technically, this is not a rifle, even though this is an AR platform, but it's not a rifle because the ATF says that rifles do not have pistol braces. And then it's not a pistol because the ATF says that pistols don't have a vertical foregrip. And so it has no other choice but to be dubbed an other firearm. And this is a Troy A4 other. But you know,
And what caliber?
yeah, 223 5.56. It can shoot.
Is it chambered for five?
It's chambered for 5.56. Yeah,
All right.
5.56. It can shoot 223. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's interchangeable. But so it's got like, you know, a few updates on it. But in either case, Troy is not the only company that makes it. There are other. I think everybody's dabbing into the other
And
spectrum.
the only
of
reason
firearms.
that they label it other is because they got the vertical foregrip.
So the vertical foregrip prevents it from being labeled a pistol, because pistols don't have vertical foregrips.
Correct.
And the pistol brace prevents it from being a rifle because it doesn't have a butt stock. It has a pistol brace. This pistol brace is from a company called SB Tactical, and it was designed. I think the president or the CEO or somebody up in the chain of command had a friend who only had one arm, and he wanted to be able to holster this firearm, and so they created this pistol brace. And if you notice, there's a hollow here. You can unstrap the brace, and actually the way it's supposed to be negotiated is that you put your hand through there and it wraps around your forearm, so you can hold it and have control of the firearm with one hand, right? Like a pistol. But because it has a vertical foregrip, it's not a pistol. You see, so it falls into the legal. This is
It's slippery.
it's slippery.
It's slippery.
So the New Jersey State Police approved this. It's labeled an other firearm. You have companies like Daniel Defense.
Yeah, my friend got one.
Yeah.
DD4 is it?
I'm not.
M4.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the designation, but there's a New Jersey-based company called Modern Material. It's like Modern Material, except it's an EL at the end instead of AL.
By the way, none of these are sponsors.
None of these are sponsored. But Modern Material is following us on NJ Sharpshooters on Instagram. So
shout out to them for doing that.
yeah, shout out to them. So so you know, Troy's got a very good reputation. At the end of the day, taxes, fees, everything. This FDE color option is gonna run you for about $1,500. But there are much more affordable options out there.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that covers that. That's gonna be in your firearms purchaser identification. You're gonna be able to purchase any long arm. Now, for a pistol, each individual pistol is gonna require a permit, a pistol permit. That cost is $2 per permit. Right?
They dropped it.
No,
or
it's-
maybe Woodbridge's too. I
No,
think
no, no.
Cowboy's $5.
No, $5 for the FID, for your firearms purchaser
My
ID.
Amber charged me $5 for the pistol permit.
You're not supposed to do that.
No, it's $2. It's $2. You may want to check that, because I mean, the permit is $2. So check this out, right?
Big cat.
So it's $2 for
Nah,
each
I put
pistol
money on
permit,
that, actually.
$5 for the FID. Now, the purchase of handguns have to be separated by 30 days,
Correct.
right? So if I purchase this gun today, I have to wait 30 days to be able to purchase this one, then 30 days to be able to purchase this one, which is whatever. For your initial purchase, I agree that there should be a waiting period, because I don't know why you're coming into the gun store. You know what I mean? Like, you might
Yeah.
be riled up.
Yeah, you might. I think
Yeah.
you need some days to
Yeah.
calm down.
Just to think about it, make sure that this is what you want to do. But after that, I don't see why there's a waiting period. But we won't dab into that, because that's a whole different episode.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
which hopefully you guys come back again. Hopefully this isn't the last time you
No,
guys
no,
come back.
absolutely.
Hopefully y'all chilling
Definitely.
and y'all come back. You know?
Absolutely. So Governor Murphy right now has a plan in place to change the $2 permit to $50, and then the $5 FID card to $100.
I heard that.
And so now, once again, our communities
It's
are
getting
being
priced
priced
out.
out of accessibility. You understand what I'm saying? So this
I'll go get 37 permits every 3.
you can't. So
No, I know you
yeah.
could only get 3.
Three at a
right?
time,
Or
and
you
then
better rack up, and then
Yeah.
it's 30 days. So you're already looking
Yep.
at almost 90 days within.
Yep.
Or 60 days if you think about it.
Yeah.
From the day they come in, you go and get one. 30
Yep.
days. 30 days. You're looking at 60 days to buy 3 firearms, right?
Yep.
By the time you
Yep.
even get the permits, you're looking at another. It could be now in Rona times.
Not
who
only
knows?
and this is why we suggest that you apply for multiple permits at a time, because when you come back, there's another cost associated. There's a
Correct.
$21 statutory fee for reapplying for a permit.
Correct.
So on top of the permit, there's not another $21 fee. So you might as well ask for multiple permits at once, because it's so much easier to get an extension
Yep.
than it is to reapply for another permit. So just get them all at
Because you
once.
can go from 90 and get another 90-day extension.
it's-
now you're at 180 days, which
180
is
days, yep.
half a year.
Yep.
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 And don't apply for the permit until you're financially available to get them.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what firearm you want, I suggest you go to the range, any
Or-
respectable range.
NJ Sharpshooters.
There you go. Or NJ Sharpshooter. Yeah. And go to NJ Sharpshooters on Instagram and all the social media. And then they'll help you out with everything. And then rent a firearm.
Yeah.
And
We'll-
be like,
we'll help
ooh, I
you.
don't like that.
We'll help
Oh,
you.
I like that.
We'll help you with all of that.
Yeah.
With every part of that process. We can go to the range. We'll pick out all the firearms that you've narrowed it down to. Because once we find your caliber, then we find that caliber, and then we look at price range, right? What is
Yes.
your budget, right?
Exactly.
Because if you want a $3,000 gun, we can get you
Oh, yeah.
a Shadow Systems MR920. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a couple upgrades. But if you're looking at a $400 gun, then we could look at something like a Walter Creed.
Yep.
That's basically the little brother of the Walter PPQ, which is a highly, noted firearm. Depending on your budget, if it's sub $200, we can always get you a really good paperweight.
You could
A high
hopefully
point.
scare somebody.
Yeah, a high point.
Hopefully scare
Please, if you're listening, don't buy a high point. If you're listening to this and somebody that you love has suggested that you buy a high point, just know that they don't love you back.
This is talking nothing like a gun owner scorned.
Yeah. They don't love you back, man.
Customer service.
No, you know what? Like I said, I got it because it was like such an easy, but I paid more for the transfer than I did for the gun.
Yeah.
But I fired it. It was like fun to shoot, but it's just not something that I would consider for my personal safety.
Yeah, not reliable.
No, not
I never shot
reliable
one.
at all, man. Not reliable at all. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
The three things that you want to consider is reliability, right?
Correct.
Ergonomics, right? You want to make sure, and accuracy. So depending on the situation, you may trade accuracy for speed. If you're within 5 feet from me, I don't care about lining up my sights. I'm going to point and shoot. Right?
Yeah.
If you're 15 yards from me, I'm not going to care about pointing and shooting. I want to make sure my shot is accurate
Yes.
from a distance. You know what I mean? So depending on the circumstance, different kind of engagement, different rules of engagement. But those are the three things that we consider when considering a firearm. Reliability, ergonomics, and accuracy. Absolutely.
As it should be.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because that's almost like the same thing with airsoft where, yeah, sure, weather comes into play. BB weight comes into play. Tightness of the bore of the barrel. So there's a lot of things that come into play. But as far as mechanics, muscle memory, and being tactical is what, because you can see when you go there, right? You'll see, you're like, it's military right there. They don't say a word. They won't. But you look at them and be like, you see him move.
Yep.
You're like, either he been airsofted for 10 years
Yep. Or he's former military.
or he's military. Then you see somebody else where you're like, not military. We were playing one day, right? The guy comes up to us. You guys military? We were like, what? Mind you, we're at the car, like, reload. He's like, you guys military? We're like, no. Why? I thought he was going to be like, oh, because we're running a special event. Oh,
Right.
I was like, we're like, no, why? He's like, you move like you're military. And we're like, nah, we're never been. Neither one of us. He
Yeah.
was like, well, good shit then.
You see,
And he dapped us all up.
and that's part of the culture that we want to shift, because tactics and strategies that are effective and that are going to hold you to a higher standard and higher rate of proficiency are associated with the military. But why are they not associated with civilians? Am I supposed to not know how to shoot because I'm a civilian? Am I supposed to not know how to clear a house because I'm a civilian? This is my home.
Yeah, like I can't know how to fight because I'm not in the UFC.
Exactly. So
Get choked out.
I
You know?
understand, I understand where it comes from because typically you see that in the military. But I'm going to tell you, and this is from personal experience, and you know, military guys will tell you that you're sent out overseas. You're very rarely using a pistol.
Rarely.
Very rarely, unless you got some rank, you're not issued a sidearm.
No, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got guys that come to the range, and I'm like, you seem like you like, you know, from your collection of firearms here on the port, seems like you have some history and ownership. Do you have any background in firearms? He's like, oh, I'm former military. I'm like, so why are you teacupping?
Yeah. And they're like, oh, they didn't give us that.
I'm like, why are you teacupping, man? Like, shout out to my military guys out there protecting, you know, all of our rights that we're pushing for here. I love you guys.
Word.
You know, some of the nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
You know, who are selfless, who are willing to put themselves on the line for us. You know what I mean? And people like us, and a set of beliefs, a standard. You know.
For
So,
all the rights that we enjoy.
Yeah. So I'm not knocking the military at all. I love the military. I love military. You know, anybody who joined the armed forces. You know,
In any branch, any division.
any division.
Yeah.
Any division. You know, so I'm not trying to knock anybody, but
Yeah, no, but I get what you're saying though. But but no, it's not a knock. It's
it's a reality check.
It's a no, yeah. They're like, no, I went there with rifles. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I do.
Or if you were a machine gunner, like, you know, if you're in a car, you know, so it really depends.
It's different. The
yeah.
machine gunner isn't probably out here close quarter. He's just on the top. Now his
Right.
bravery is on another, or not even like they're less brave or more, but his level of I don't care.
Has to be at his level of focus on the objective has to be
With ping, 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 with
in tune.
with
Yeah.
rounds whizzing by. He's like,
Yeah, he's got to be I call it absolute focus. You've got to lock out any fear, doubt, or disbelief. You've got to lock out any other thought other than the objective at hand. You know?
yeah. So now, all right. So we got the Wednesdays. It's
Skeet
every
shooting.
Wednesday. Is it outdoor?
It's
It has to be,
outdoor.
yeah.
It's outdoor. It's an acid punk. I can never pronounce this. How is it? Acid Punk Lake.
And Jersey.
Yeah, it's by like Tom's River. I mean, by Freehold. I'm sorry. Yeah, by Freehold. So listen, if you're here, if you're from Perth Amboy, Woodbridge, South Amboy, we can set a meet location, and we'll take my car. We'll take
Just
my
drive down there.
We'll take my SUV. We'll drive down there. I don't mind. I got a couple other guys that drive down there. You know, we'll go down together or whatever.
So that's every Wednesday.
Weather permitting.
Weather permitting every
Wed-
Wednesday. What are the hours?
So typically we have a 1 p.m. start.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a 1 p.m. start. In the morning, Wednesdays are I dedicated to, to training. So in the morning, I'm at the range. If you want to join me for, Wednesday morning to hit the range, feel free. We got a couple other guys that go on the weekend that they're accessible. Just reach out to us.
NJ.
Reach out to us. NJ Sharpshooters.
Shooters.
And
on
check
all
it
social
out because
media.
we got some videos, and it's the funniest thing, man. We were laughing about this the other day because when we take somebody who has no experience with a shotgun and we show them all of the mechanics of a shotgun and we show them how to shoot and they start hitting them, it's very difficult to hit a moving target. Right?
Yeah.
But once they start
Comes to leading and all that, yeah.
Especially your cheek well, your position, the way you
Yeah.
hold it, the way you can't come up too fast. So anyway, so once you start, hitting your shots, once you're done with your rounds, we ask that you turn around and say, stay sharpshooters. Right?
Yeah.
Because, we do this because we know how much focus they have to apply, and they always forget. So it's like the funniest shit in the world. When they turn around, they're like, so what's it? The bloopers, the bloopers are hilarious, and we post them. We post them.
Of course.
So
of course.
it's on Instagram,
It's
man.
all
Go
fun.
check it out, man. Go check it out.
Oh,
Even
man.
if you're checking it out for fun, it's a good time. It's a good time. You learn something new. You get to have an
Yeah.
experience that perhaps you may have never thought to even look into. Right? Something you want to do with your kids. It's fun, and it's instant gratification.
It is.
It's instant gratification.
Instant.
The moment you hit that target, you're like, whew.
You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You see it.
Yep.
See the orange go
Splatter,
out. You're
yeah.
like, oh.
And it's biodegradable, so it's not affecting.
Just like my airsoft BBs, don't worry.
Yeah.
We're keeping the planet healthy.
Yeah.
Give it a couple months there. they'll be in the
Yeah,
earth.
biodegradable.
Yeah. So right, so you got that on Wednesdays, right? And then you got your homie that you do range in the morning, then
Range in the morning.
then Clay's
Clay
in
in
the
after-
afternoon,
yep.
early afternoon. Then you got other people that go to the range. So anybody could just go to NG Sharpshooters and you say DM you, I guess.
DM us,
DM
right? And let us know where you are. First, there's an assessment, right? We'll figure out where you are in the process.
Because you can't just be willy nilly in here, like, and just anybody just out here just looking crazy.
No.
There is
no,
some
no.
form of like
Yeah.
checks and balances.
Absolutely.
All right.
So you know, we have to assess your situation
Correct.
individually, and then once we deem you fit to
be
to
around,
accompany us
yes.
and to be in the possession of a firearm, we'll set a schedule. We'll set a date that works for both of us, and you know, one of our admins or one of the guys in our group that'll be at the location. You'll meet up with them, and they'll guide you through the process. They'll give you instruction. They'll help you in the choosing of a firearm if you haven't chosen one, or if you did choose one and you have no idea how to shoot it. Then we'll show you, because different guns have different sights, different bore axes, different barrels, different.
Infinite.
Yeah, if you have a
almost.
rifle, you know, what kind of bolt is it? Is it particle inspected? Is it nickel boron? You know,
Everything.
There's so
Yo,
much to
mil
consider.
spec, where we at? Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. So is it 10 and a half, 12 and a half, 14 and a half? You know, what are the, like you were saying, feet per second? How much are we losing?
Yes.
You know, at 50 yards, 100 yards, do you have a red dot? Is it zeroed? Do you need help zeroing your red dot?
Correct.
So all of these things, like I said, we don't have all the answers, but I guarantee you, if there's a question that you have or if there's a problem that you have, we can get you the answer.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
not on the spot, but
Yeah, no.
either way, I like the fact
Yeah.
that this is somewhere where our community
Yeah.
could go, where it should be just a normal thing.
Yeah, normalizing the culture, man.
You
Absolutely.
have to respect it. Like, check out the last episode. I'm so many. I don't know what episode I'm in. I'm like, this might be 16 or 17. Who knows, right?
I think this is 17.
I think this is 17, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know, bro. Right? But on the last episode, it was like he was like, I'd rather have a kid know what to do when they see a firearm than not know what to do, whether they own one or not.
So it's funny because they did a study, right, on our need for stimulation. And they put individuals in a room by themselves with a button. And the first time they touched the button, it sent a shock, negative stimuli, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, all right. At that point, that individual knows I should not touch that. There's going to be a negative consequence to pushing that button. But boredom strikes, and he wants to go and touch it again, touch it again, touch it again, touch it again. And so our need to be stimulated is incredible. We would rather have a negative stimulation than no stimulation at all. But when it comes to firearms, if you have knowledge that it's not just a little buzz, this is the ultimate authority.
Yes.
Your child, the way I raise my daughters is that if anybody ever said, "Oh, let's go shoot that guy," my daughter's like, "What are you, crazy? Like
no, there's no.
that's not a toy. That's
No
not
comebacks.
Yeah,
it's
no,
not an
that-
option.
yeah. She's ill-equipped to have that responsible conversation, and she's only, she's turning 12 years old, but she's a very mature 11-year-old, and she's ready to have that conversation. Like, we've gone to the range so often, and we've had these conversations so often that she can give instruction. You understand? My 11-year-old daughter can give instruction on how to manipulate a firearm, and at that point, there's no the curiosity factor.
It's
That
gone.
need to be stimulated. It's gone.
It's just a tool,
Yeah, it's abandoned.
a well-respected tool, and all that extra hype and movie and music and raps and this. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I've been around it already. Thanks to my dad, I
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
this is.
And you know what's great? Like if somebody was, "Oh, let's go shoot that gun." For what? Let's go do something else. If you want to shoot guns, come Tuesday. We go to the range.
Yeah.
You know?
Like that. All that's
There's no need for you to even approach a situation like that. You just come with us on Tuesday, or meet us on Wednesday for ski shooting, or
yeah.
come with us on Sunday.
There's
right?
got to be way more outlets, and like I said,
Yeah.
mental health is a thing.
Listen, nobody is sitting there like, "Let's go eat an apple."
Nobody.
You understand what I'm saying?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody. Some.
Yeah,
Some.
yeah.
There are some. It isn't as glorified as a McRib.
No, but what I'm
Right.
saying is, and even then, like, you know, you'll have like 3 cheeseburgers, but you won't have 3 bananas.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
once you have it all figured out, there's no curiosity factor.
Well, we just did 2 hours.
Oh my God.
I know. That's why I don't put a clock in here, bro.
Oh my goodness.
I don't even put a clock in here. It's a time warp in here.
Yeah. Well, it was an awesome
NJ,
time, man.
I appreciate
Yeah,
you guys,
definitely
bro, to
appreciate
come
it.
through. NJ Sharpshooters, right? Off air, I'm gonna get all the description and everything
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they could have, so people know exactly where they can go and find it.
So right now, and we'll definitely do that. We'll do an exchange of all the information.
Yeah.
But right now, most of our traffic is coming by way of Instagram.
Correct.
So
that's what at this point that's what the world's
yeah.
gonna be.
Check this out, man. Last month. Wait a minute. Today's the 17th. Was it last
Oh,
month
no,
or was
that's
it this?
Monday.
No, today. I'm sorry. Today's the 19th. But was it last month or was it in September that we raffled the shotgun? Was that in August?
Oh, you
thing?
did a raffle. That's right.
Bro, we did a raffle. We gave away an Emperor Arms 12 gauge shotgun. Came ill-equipped, bro.
Yeah, it was just a
Nice.
few weeks ago.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago.
What?
And then we did a giveaway for free range time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so if you follow us on IG,
yeah,
you know, there's ways we give instructions on how to enter these contests.
bro, we're
Keep
giving
people engaged.
Listen, we're giving stuff away. We're like nobody's getting charged for none of this right now. You know what I'm saying?
I
Right
respect
now,
y'all so
we're just
much,
giving
bro.
everything away. We're giving away our time. We're giving away our knowledge. We're giving away our resources for the benefit of the community. So follow us on Instagram. Let us know what you need, where you're at, and we'll move. We'll start. You know, we'll get out there.
That's what it is.
All right.
And I hope hopefully we'll give us some time. I want to go with y'all to the range. It's hard on Wednesday because I work. My
No.
hours are crazy for
Listen,
the clay.
Don't worry about it. We'll set something up.
We
Yeah,
can
and
do
all
something.
of our members have different times of availability.
Yeah.
You know, we'll figure out a way to make it
Yeah,
out.
because now Saturdays I do this, Sundays is airsoft. So it's like,
Yeah. Dude, don't worry about it, man.
we're going
have-
to figure something. I'm going to figure something out, though. I'm going to go
Yeah.
with y'all. As you can see with the toys that we got, we're going to have some fun, bro.
Absolutely.
But thank you once again for being here, bro. I appreciate y'all. NJ Sharpshooters on the AWOL podcast. And we out of here.
Peace.